Impact Wrestling, or as many still call it, TNA, was both a launchpad and a stopover for countless wrestling stars. Yet, when people look back, most fans only think of WWE, often forgetting that many big names once competed inside the six-sided ring. From hardcore legends to rising stars who never had the chance to shine, and even future world champions, all left their mark in Impact. Let's revisit some of the faces you might have forgotten once wrestled here. Number 1. CM Punk. CM Punk is a name forever tied to the transformation of modern wrestling. He became the face of Ring of Honor, reached the pinnacle in WWE, and even stepped into the UFC. What surprises many fans, though, is that before he became a global star, Punk had a brief but interesting run in TNA, back when the company still operated as NWA TNA. This period took place in the early 2000s, specifically around 2003 to 2004. At the time, Punk was signed with Ring of Honor but was also allowed to appear in TNA. This gave him the chance to perform on national television, where he joined Raven's faction, The Gathering. Raven was one of TNA's biggest names then, and standing alongside him gave the best in the world some extra credibility with the audience. But, as always with Punk, he wasn't content being just another follower. Before long, he turned heel and teamed with Julio De Niro under James Mitchell's guidance. The pairing had potential but didn't connect with fans as hoped. Management felt they lacked chemistry, which caused Punk's role in the company to fade. Things took a sharper turn after a backstage altercation with Teddy Hart, an incident often cited as one of the main reasons TNA cooled on him. Shortly after, Punk left and poured his energy into Ring of Honor, where his career skyrocketed and paved the way to WWE. Looking back, his TNA stint was just a small chapter in Punk's story, but it highlighted his relentless drive to stand out. It remains a forgotten piece of history in the journey of a legend. Number 2. Tommaso Ciampa. Tommaso Ciampa is best remembered as one of NXT's fiercest warriors, carving out brutal chapters alongside Johnny Gargano in DIY and later through their legendary rivalry. But few know that Ciampa once stepped into the Impact Wrestling ring, even if only briefly. The twist. His appearance actually happened after signing with WWE. Due to taping schedules, Ciampa wrestled on an Impact show before officially debuting in NXT. When the episode eventually aired, fans suddenly saw WWE's New Recruit pop up on a rival promotions program. This rare coincidence sparked plenty of chatter in the dirt sheets at the time. In a three-way X Division match, Ciampa faced Zema Ion and Trevor Lee, two familiar Impact names. The bout was short and didn't play into any major storyline, but Ciampa still managed to showcase his gritty, straightforward style. Compared to his later NXT persona, he was still raw, missing the vicious edge and aura of a main event star, though the potential was already visible. Unfortunately, that was the first and last time fans saw Ciampa on Impact TV. WWE quickly pushed him as a central figure in NXT, where he became one of the brand's defining characters. Because of that, his Impact cameo was buried in history, remembered only as a hidden gem by longtime fans. In the end, that moment had little effect on Ciampa's career, but it added another unique wrinkle to his path. One full of twists that took him from obscurity to one of wrestling's biggest names. Number 3. Seth Rollins. Before becoming WWE's architect, the leader of the Shield, and a multiple-time world champion, Seth Rollins had a humble beginning that almost no one remembers. In 2006, at just 20 years old, he was still wrestling under the name Tyler Black and made a brief appearance in TNA, back when the company was known for giving young talent a platform. In that rare outing, Rollins teamed with Jeff Luxon against Homicide and Hernandez, two dominant members of LAX, one of the most feared factions in TNA history. From the opening bell, the match was one-sided. With their experience and ruthless style, LAX completely overwhelmed the rookie duo, leaving Rollins and Luxon with no chance to shine. The bout lasted barely 30 seconds. Just enough time for fans to see a skinny young Tyler Black tossed around before taking Homicide's top rope Gringo Killer as the finish. No highlight moments, no character building. It was nothing more than a squash designed to make LAX look even stronger. Yet, in hindsight, it's fascinating to realize that the scrawny kid in that short-lived match would later rise to the very top of WWE. Afterward, Rollins continued his journey in Ring of Honor, where he made his real breakthrough before eventually signing with WWE. It was in ROH that Tyler Black delivered classic matches and built the reputation that opened the door to the global stage, where he reinvented himself as Seth Rollins. Today, when fans look back at that blink-and-you'll-miss-it TNA appearance, it feels almost surreal, a moment that seemed meaningless at the time but now serves as proof of the long, tough road that shaped a living legend. Number 4. Sanada. When fans think of Sanada today, they picture one of New Japan Pro Wrestling's top stars, a core member of Los Ingobernables de Japón, and a fixture in main event matches. But before his rise in Japan, Sanada had a unique run in TNA from 2014 to 2015, a period many fans have forgotten. The highlight of his TNA stint came when he captured the X Division Championship. He first won the title in Japan at a Wrestle 1 event, then carried it over to the US to appear on TNA programming. Sanada made his official debut at Lockdown 2014, teaming with the legendary Great Muta and Yasu in a steel cage match. It was a major introduction that gave him valuable exposure to an international audience. One of his most memorable TNA moments came when he successfully defended the title in a thrilling six-man ladder match against Davey Richards, Eddie Edwards, Crazy Steve, Tigre Uno, and Monic. The performance showed that Sanada could hang with some of the best young talents of the era. Unfortunately, his momentum slowed after losing the championship to Austin Aries, and his presence in the company gradually faded. It's worth noting that TNA was going through a rough stretch at the time, with declining viewership and struggling storylines. Even talents like Sanada, who were initially spotlighted, had difficulty staying relevant. Still, the fact that a future NJPW headliner once competed in TNA remains a surprising piece of trivia. It's another reminder that TNA served as a proving ground for many future stars before they reached the global stage. Number 5. Hiroshi Tanahashi. When fans think of Hiroshi Tanahashi, they immediately picture the ace of New Japan Pro Wrestling, the man who carried the company into a new golden era in the 21st century. But few know that Tanahashi once had a short stint in TNA, a period remembered more for its awkward moments than its highlights. In 2006, Tanahashi made a surprise appearance at Final Resolution, where he faced AJ Styles in what was billed as a dream match, Japan's rising star against TNA's young franchise player. Expectations were high, but the match lasted just over 10 minutes and ended in disappointing fashion. Even worse, Tanahashi didn't lose cleanly to Styles. Instead, interference from Shannon Moore ruined the bout. During the chaos, Moore accidentally smashed Tanahashi in the face with AJ's Mr. TNA plaque, giving Styles the victory. The situation felt even more absurd considering Tanahashi was in the middle of his first IWGP Heavyweight Championship reign, a status that usually commands the utmost respect. Tanahashi didn't disappear completely from TNA after that. 2 years later, he returned for several multi-man matches, teaming up against names like Team 3D, Jay Lethal, Doug Williams, and the Motor City Machine Guns. This time, he was able to showcase his skills in a livelier setting, thankfully without Shannon Moore interfering again. Looking back, Tanahashi's TNA run never reflected his true stature, but it stands as a quirky footnote in a legendary career. One of New Japan's greatest icons once stepped into America, only to walk away with one of the strangest losses of his early international journey. Number 6. Roderick Strong. Long before he became a cornerstone of the Undisputed Era in NXT, Roderick Strong had a notable run in Impact Wrestling. From 2005 to 2006, he was a regular fixture of the X Division, the company's showcase for fast-paced, technical, and high-intensity matches. Strong even teamed with Austin Aries and Alex Shelley, forming a small faction remembered as a young, hungry force brimming with potential. Being paired with two of TNA's hottest names at the time showed just how highly management rated his abilities. Another milestone came when Strong wrestled in the very first Impact episode to air on Spike TV, a historic moment for the company. His opponent that night? None other than AJ Styles, the face of TNA. Though Strong came up short, the match was a valuable opportunity to prove himself in front of a national audience, showcasing the grit and technical precision that later defined his reputation. However, his run quickly hit turbulence. At Against All Odds 2006, Strong and Aries were suspended after showing up nearly 4 hours late, a mistake that badly damaged their standing with the company. That incident effectively cut Strong's TNA career short. While his time in Impact didn't leave behind a lasting legacy, It remains a fascinating early chapter in the journey of a wrestler who would go on to become a major name in WWE. For those who look back closely, it's an overlooked yet telling glimpse of Roderick Strong's rise. Number 7. Shinsuke Nakamura. Shinsuke Nakamura is celebrated as one of the greatest wrestlers of the 21st century, known for his striking style, unorthodox charisma, and unmatched presence. He conquered audiences in Japan and the United States, becoming a global icon. But what many fans have forgotten is that before joining WWE, Nakamura briefly appeared in Impact Wrestling. His US outing was underwhelming. Nakamura faced Alex Skipper in a short match, but instead of being featured on a main TNA show, the bout aired on Explosion, the company's secondary program. It was hardly a stage worthy of a rising New Japan star, which is why the match quickly faded into obscurity. Nakamura's TNA connection didn't end there, though. In Japan, while holding the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, he wrestled Kurt Angle in a historic match to unify two disputed IWGP titles. The bout was long, dramatic, and showcased Nakamura at his best. TNA aired it for American audiences, giving fans a chance to witness his true caliber on a bigger stage. Still, his time linked with TNA left little lasting impact. He was used sparingly, never given the platform to display his full potential. For someone who would later be hailed as the king of strong style, this period is easily overlooked. Looking back, Nakamura's Impact stint was nothing more than a passing chapter in his storied career. Yet, it serves as a reminder that even future legends often go through forgotten stops before reaching superstardom. Number 8. Mil Muertes. Mil Muertes, the terrifying force of Lucha Underground, is remembered as a living nightmare, masked and menacing. But before he became the Man of 1,000 Deaths, he had an almost forgotten run in TNA under the name Judas Meshes. As Judas, he was presented as a dark, supernatural figure managed by James Mitchell, brought in to exact revenge on Mitchell's former protege, Abyss. His debut was striking. Judas stormed into a steel cage match between Abyss and Kurt Angle, spewing blood from his mouth with eerie white contact lenses in his eyes. Shocked, commentator Don West screamed, "Oh my God, that's Judas Meshes!" The moment instantly drew comparisons to Kane's legendary Hell in a Cell debut years earlier. Despite the memorable introduction, his TNA run didn't unfold as strongly. Judas continued feuding with Abyss and Mitchell and even teamed with Black Reign, Dustin Rhodes' dark alter ego, in bizarre but somewhat compelling storylines. However, inconsistent creative direction quickly diminished his aura, and he left the company before making a real breakthrough. What's fascinating is how different his later success as Mil Muertes was, an almost unstoppable monster in Lucha Underground compared to the somewhat over-the-top presentation of Judas Meshes. Still, even in that short stint, he carried an intimidating presence, leaving a lasting memory for fans who followed TNA during that era. Number 9. The Young Bucks. Today, Nick and Matt Jackson, better known as the Young Bucks, are one of the biggest brands in pro wrestling. They're not just stars inside the ring but also savvy businessmen, with their YouTube show being The Elite pulling in hundreds of thousands of views every week. Their influence on New Japan Pro Wrestling, Ring of Honor, and especially as co-founders of AEW has made them global icons. But rewind more than a decade, and the picture was very different. In the late 2000s, when both were barely in their 20s, they appeared in TNA under the name Generation Me. At that time, TNA positioned them as a young, energetic babyface team, reminiscent of the Rockers from the late 80s. However, instead of being showcased as top stars, Generation Me were mostly used as stepping stones for more established and favored teams like the Motor City Machine Guns or Beer Money. Despite consistently delivering fast-paced, exciting matches, Nick and Matt never got the chance to make a lasting impact. Their time in TNA soon faded from memory. Yet, this period taught them an important lesson. Never let anyone else dictate the direction of your career. After leaving TNA, they embraced their own philosophy, taking full control of their image, style, and creative path. From electrifying performances in New Japan to reshaping the independent wrestling scene, the Young Bucks proved they weren't just another tag team but genuine game changers. Looking back, their Impact run may have been forgettable, but it played a crucial role in shaping the mindset of creative freedom that ultimately turned the Young Bucks into worldwide superstars. Number 10. Kazuchika Okada. It may sound unbelievable, but it's true. Kazuchika Okada, later the face of New Japan Pro Wrestling and one of the greatest wrestlers of the 21st century, once had a forgettable stint in TNA/Impact. From 2010 to 2011, during the Hulk Hogan-Eric Bischoff era, Okada was misused in a way many fans still call one of TNA's biggest blunders. At first, he wrestled in low-profile dark matches before being sent to the secondary show Explosion. There, he even teamed with Homicide and lost to Nick and Matt Jackson, then still known as Generation Me. But things quickly got worse. Instead of showcasing his natural talent, TNA saddled Okada with a gimmick inspired by Kato from the Green Hornet, turning him into a generic, one-dimensional character completely detached from his real persona. As if that wasn't enough, the company eventually reduced him to playing a cameraman in one of their storylines. A world-class talent was treated as nothing more than background filler. The mishandling angered New Japan officials so much that they cut ties with TNA and brought Okada back home, where he would be rebuilt from the ground up. That decision changed everything. Within a few short years, Okada exploded as the Rainmaker, capturing multiple IWGP Heavyweight Championships and redefining what a main event match could be. In hindsight, his time in Impact was an embarrassing blemish on his career, but also a reminder of how TNA let a generational legend slip right through their fingers. Number 11. Jeff Hardy. When fans hear the name Jeff Hardy, they immediately think of a daredevil risk-taker, a man who redefined high-flying wrestling and became a WWE icon for decades. But not everyone remembers that before reviving his career in WWE, Jeff actually made a stop in TNA/Impact Wrestling, where he left a unique mark. In 2004, after his first WWE departure, Hardy turned to TNA as a way to restart his journey and prove he still had the charisma to captivate fans. The moment he walked in, Hardy was the center of attention. With his colorful hair, fearless style, and jaw-dropping dives, he quickly became one of TNA's most popular stars. Fans got to witness a Jeff Hardy unchained, free to express the wild energy they had once fallen in love with in WWE. During his run, Hardy clashed with some of TNA's biggest names, including AJ Styles, Abyss, and company founder Jeff Jarrett. His world title matches with Jarrett, in particular, pushed him close to the top prize, even though he never actually captured it. Still, the fans weren't disappointed. Every time Hardy stepped into the ring, they knew they'd see something spectacular, from death-defying leaps to moments that left hearts racing. Unfortunately, Jeff's TNA career didn't last long. Personal struggles, especially issues with discipline and lifestyle, made it difficult for him to maintain his spot. Despite shining in bursts, Hardy eventually left the company and later returned to WWE, where he added more championships to his resume and built a lasting legacy. Today, most fans remember Hardy's legendary WWE moments, from the Attitude Era to his multiple world title victories. But for those who followed TNA from the early years, they'll never forget the explosive, fearless, and reckless Jeff Hardy who helped paint some of the first colorful chapters in Impact Wrestling history. Number 12. Mick Foley. Mention Mick Foley, and fans instantly recall some of WWE's most unforgettable moments, from his terrifying fall off the hell in a cell cage to the bloody hardcore battles under his Cactus Jack persona. Yet, few remember that this legend also had a unique run in Impact Wrestling, lasting from 2008 to 2011. From the start, Foley wasn't just brought in as a guest attraction. He was positioned as a central figure in storylines, acting as a mentor, an authority figure, and still stepping into the ring for big matches. Often appearing in backstage segments, Foley used his humor, relatable charisma, and biting wit to engage the audience and keep the company's main stories moving. The highlight came in 2009 when Mick Foley shocked the world by defeating Sting to become the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. Fans were stunned. At that stage, age and injuries had clearly slowed him down, but Foley's legendary name and one-of-a-kind style gave the moment huge impact, turning it into one of Impact's most memorable title changes. Beyond the championship, Foley also played a role in feuds with major figures like Jeff Jarrett and Kurt Angle. While he couldn't deliver long, physically intense matches anymore, he made up for it with his gift of connecting to the crowd. His quirky promos, unpredictable energy, and trademark hardcore intensity ensured that every appearance carried weight. Eventually, his time in Impact came to an end. Foley left the company to focus on writing books, touring as a speaker, and occasionally making special appearances in WWE. Compared to his monumental WWE legacy, his stint in Impact wasn't a career peak, but it proved one thing. No matter where he went, Mick Foley always brought chaos, passion, and storytelling magic that fans would never forget. Number 13. Chris Candido. When fans think of Chris Candido, most remember his bright runs in ECW and WWF, where his polished technical skills and confident charisma made him stand out. But there's another chapter in his career that many forget. His early days in TNA, when the company was still searching for its identity. Joining TNA, Candido wasn't just a veteran wrestler. He brought with him a wealth of experience and a willingness to mentor the next generation. He often worked alongside rising talents in the X Division, the heart of early TNA, acting as a guide to help them refine their craft, from storytelling inside the ring to connecting with the crowd. Still, Candido didn't limit himself to a managerial role. He continued competing in the six-sided ring, proving that he hadn't lost the grit and technical foundation that once earned him so much respect. With a smart, disciplined, yet exciting style, Candido delivered memorable matches that reminded fans he could still hold his own even as a new generation was taking over. Tragically, a severe injury in one of his matches derailed that momentum. After surgery, unexpected health complications took his life in 2005 at just 33 years old. His passing was a heartbreaking loss for both fans and peers. Though his time in TNA was brief, Candido left a lasting impression as a dedicated professional who poured himself into the business and lifted up younger talent. For many longtime fans, his presence during the company's early years helped lay the foundation for Impact Wrestling, proving that tradition and innovation could coexist. Number 14. Bobby Roode. For many fans, Bobby Roode is remembered as the former NXT champion who entered WWE arenas to the booming, glorious theme. But long before that, Roode spent over a decade in TNA/Impact Wrestling, where he truly made his name and became one of the company's biggest stars. Few recall that Roode first appeared in TNA as part of Team Canada, a heel faction known for dirty tactics and constant interference. Within the group, Roode played the role of Muscle, the powerhouse who backed up his teammates. At the time, his character was fairly one-dimensional, but his solid performances gradually earned him recognition. Over time, Roode stepped out of Team Canada's shadow and carved out his own identity. He crafted the persona of a cold, calculating wrestler who relied on strategy as much as strength. His matches grew more polished, his character worked sharper, and soon Roode became one of Impact's cornerstones. Beyond his legendary tag team success with Beer Money, considered one of the greatest duos in company history, Roode reached the pinnacle as TNA World Heavyweight Champion, carrying the title during a turbulent era for the promotion. That championship victory marked his full evolution, from a supporting player in a heel stable to a dependable main event star who could shoulder the company's future. Today, most fans only associate Roode with his WWE career. But the truth is, the foundation that made him an underrated but great star was built in TNA. That was where Roode proved he wasn't just a follower, but a leader, a true cornerstone of Impact Wrestling, even if history doesn't always give him the credit he deserves. Number 15. Jon Moxley. Before the world knew him as Dean Ambrose in WWE or as Jon Moxley, the defiant rebel of AEW, few remember that he had a brief stint in Impact Wrestling. Between 2009 and 2010, Moxley was still a rising name from the independent circuit, known for his wild brawling style, reckless attitude, and willingness to put his body on the line for the sake of drama. In TNA, however, Moxley was used only sparingly, appearing in a handful of minor matches, mostly on secondary shows. More often than not, he was placed in the role of enhancement talent, there to make the company's established stars look stronger. Even though he brought intensity and a unique edge, he was never given a storyline or long-term direction. As a result, his time in Impact passed largely unnoticed by the broader fanbase. But Moxley's determination wouldn't let him fade away. After leaving TNA, he went back to the independent scene, where he sharpened his craft and built a reputation as someone impossible to ignore. By 2011, his persistence paid off when WWE signed him, rebranding him as Dean Ambrose and eventually pairing him with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns to form The Shield, a group that redefined an entire era of WWE. Looking back, it's almost surreal to realize Impact once had Jon Moxley on their roster but failed to recognize his massive potential. Missing out on a wrestler who would later become a world champion across multiple major promotions highlights the unforgiving nature of pro wrestling. Talent isn't always acknowledged at the right time. While his run in Impact was forgettable to most, it still played a role in shaping the unhinged, relentless Jon Moxley the world knows today. And those were the wrestlers you may have forgotten once stepped foot in Impact Wrestling. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to Wrestling Sphere, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss out on more exciting content.